Permissions in Android was always an important area to consider. For now, users have awareness of permissions, but no real control over them. So Android M comes with several breaking changes to permissions. During my talk, we will learn on how the new permission system works and how can we educate and prepare our users so they can understand why are we asking for a certain permission. So what do we currently have? Now, when installing app, user is prompted to accept a variety of permissions even before he used this application. So this installation is based on trust. So user must have some level of trust to install your application. This may come to a crucial point where the user should decide install your application or not. For example, we all know Facebook application. It requires all permissions. But if we want just to see some kind of news, we don't need camera or microphone permissions. But we trust in Facebook and we are installing it. If we have some another application that will require such list of permissions, we will not install it because we don't believe to this app. So what problems do we currently have? Installing application is based on trust. We have a lot of unnecessary permissions. So application can require a set of permissions that will never be used. Next issue that we have a lot of dangerous permissions, the kind of paid SMS and calls. It's especially dangerous in our countries because I know a lot of virus applications are trying to steal your money through the SMS. So as a result, user won't even download your application and won't even try it. So how can we solve these problems? So Android introduced new permission system. What do we have new in it? There will be new permission groups. All the permissions are organized and grouped by certain category. So we have normal permissions. Normal permissions means that we don't need to accept them. There will be a lot of points in your application when you will be asked to grant an access to certain permission, just camera, messaging, and others. User can both view and edit permission he has granted to application in settings. So basing from this point, we should deal with denied permissions. So if user have granted an access to camera to your app, he may deny this feature at any time. We should deal with it. Another things that we have to educate our user before asking. This is the most critical point, user education. So for now, we have 9 groups. It's calendar, camera, contacts, location, microphone, phone, sensors, SMS, storage. So these permission groups contains several regular permissions. For example, contacts. Contacts have now permissions both for read contacts and write contacts. For now, when you are granting permission to read contacts, permission to write contacts will be granted automatically. So when you're giving an access to group, not for certain permission. Normal permissions. They have protection level normal, so they has no risk to user sensitive data. They can't harm user privacy, so they should be still listed in manifest, but user will not be prompted to allow or deny this permission. The good news is that internet permission will be allowed automatically. The bad thing is that we can't deny an access to internet. That's not possible. Some things like receive boot, vibration are in the protection level normal too now, so we don't have to handle these permissions. So what about runtime permissions? When application needs to access a certain feature, just like it wants to use a location or camera, it should make a request to user. When you are making a request to user, system will show you a dialog like this. It can't be customized. So this feature will work only on Android Marshmallow. The interesting thing that now installing an application from Google Play Store, we are not actually installing it. We are usually prompted to accept a list of permissions. With Android Marshmallow, it will be the actual install. So your application will be downloaded, and when your application will need this feature, it will be requested. Settings. So user can always change the settings for your application. So if user goes to settings and trying to look for the settings, he see the permission groups, as you can see at the left picture. By clicking on it, he can see a list of applications that are using these permissions. User can see the list of permissions that was granted to your app, and he can allow or deny it at any time. So what's with backwards compatibility? So when you are installing applications that are compiled with target SDK lower than 23, application will prompt you to grant an access to all the permissions just usual way. So there is no runtime permissions. So functions which need permissions with target SDK 23 will return just an empty state. So when you are building your application with target SDK 23, if your application is not ready to work with new permission system, it will crash. It will crash as soon as it will try to request feature like camera or microphone. So you should implement new permission system to application. So another good thing that we can use intents without requesting a permission. So if the main purpose of your application is not taking photos, you can just ask system to take a photo with default application. Default application, for example, to take a picture should have this permission granted. We have huge list of intents we can use. You can find them in documentation. So regarding education, how can we educate our user so he can be prepared to new system? So there is two flow. We have clear, critical permissions, and we have secondary permissions. For example, if you are building a camera photo taking application, the critical permission should be asked the first time application was launched. So when user launching the app first, you should ask him for this permission because it's critical and user expects to see such a permission. Same goes for SMS messaging. For example, Hangouts on Android Marshmallow will request an access to SMS. You're expecting this. So when application has some secondary function, just like content sharing to contacts, you should ask it in context. So, for example, you want to share some content with your friend. you should ask it when your user will try to use this feature. Not upfront, not at the launch time, but only when user want to do it, not earlier. Both for asking upfront and in context, you should think about, is your permission clear for user or not? If it's not clear, you should provide some kind of explanation. You should prepare a user and show him your clear intentions. So you don't want to harm his privacy and data and so on. So if it's clear, you can ask upfront and ask in context. So if it's not clear to user, you should educate him first. It's better to be prepared. So if your application has a warm welcome screen, you should consider to add some kind of explanation for permissions that will be requested from user. That's pretty common, but we should do it. Second thing that we should ask critical to application permissions upfront, so at the install time, after the first launch. So we are expecting from Hangouts to request such a permission. Yes? We need an access to SMS messages to work properly. If we don't have such a permission, we don't need application at all. It will not work. So when user trying to do some secondary thing, just like record audio or not, we should ask him in context. So user are now in context of taking audio or not, but he doesn't have the permission to do it. We should ask him at the moment he wants to do it. That's quite clear to user, and we shouldn't show him any kind of education. So when user trying to use feature that can be unclear for him, we can educate in several ways. So the first way is educate in context. So as you can see at the left picture, Google Maps are asking trying to help you to use some feature, and it tells you that you can try some kind of new feature. If you push a try button, you will be asked to grant another permission. So when you are educating your user in context, you should provide some kind of benefit to your user. For example, for Google Earth application, it will be the thing that your location will be immediately showed on the screen. If you are using some kind of sharing to contacts application and you want to share some context some content to your contacts, you need to show the contacts list immediately after you asked this permission. So user should see. User should get some kind of benefit for this. Next thing is if we have several permissions to ask, it's maybe SMS, contacts, and some other permissions. We should ask only relevant. We shouldn't ask all the permission at once. So it will scare your user and he will just push deny button and delete your app at all. So what do we need to do with denied permission? Permission can be denied in two ways. So the first way is when user pushing deny button when he has been requested for some feature. If he do so, that's fine. The second thing that user will have a checkbox. Don't ask again. The second time, this permission will be asked. So if he will set this checkbox, you will not receive dialog that's requesting for this permission. It be simply denied for always. User can enable this permission from settings. So if you see that this permission is denied this way, you should provide some kind of navigation tip for user. It should navigate to settings to your application, and user can see that he can enable this permission for feature to work properly. Another thing is a critical permission. So if user locked or denied permissions that are critical to your application, you should just show him that your app won't be work without this permission. And again, you should point him to the settings. He should know that he can enable permissions or allow or deny. So a lot of people was scared regarding new permission system. A lot of people are said that they are not going to update manifest and they will stay at the target SDK 22. Don't be scared. It's quite simple. The first thing we should check, do we have this permission now? It can be achieved by calling method check self permission. That's simple. So we have allowed or not allowed, so denied or granted. If we don't have this permission, we should call the next method. It's called should show request permission rationale. Why this method? If user clicked already clicked deny button, we should know this. We should know that this permission is not clear for user, and this method will return true. It means that we need to add an additional education to user to show him what does this feature do. So if we don't need an explanation, and if it's the first time we are calling this request, we should just call request permission, simply. How can we handle the result? It's quite similar to activity callback on activity result, but for now we should implement method on request permission result. So we have request code, this array of permissions, and array of grant results. So if you are asking for several permissions, user can allow some and deny some. You will get this result, and you can handle the result. You can add an additional education or just disable this feature if it's not necessary, if it's not the main feature of your application. We have several ways asking for permission and checking for this permission. The first thing is when we are updating target SDK to 23, we can use just framework. If we don't like to do it, or we want to use support library, we can do it. Support libraries have an internal checks on which target SDK we runs. They have an additional checks for operation system. So which support library will check is it Marshmallow or not, and will do necessary things. So let's talk a little about permission flow. First of all, we should check if application already have the permission. So when system checks this permission, you will get simply yes or no, so true or false. If the system have this permission, we can move to 6. We can handle permission result and to use this feature. If application don't have this permission, we should check. Has the user been asked for this permission previously? If no, we should display permission dialog to user, asking him for permission. If he was previously asked for this permission, we should check. Has don't ask again checkbox was clicked. If yes, we can do anything. We just need to handle result and to show user a point to settings. If no, we can display permission dialog to user. It's up to you to show him education or not, but it's always better to explain user why do we need this permission. Is it easy? Yes, it's quite an easy, but the flow is really a mess. When we need to reuse permission in different in different part of application, we need just copy paste or create some interesting architecture solutions. So one of solutions I saw is to use a RX permissions library. You can see it at Android Arsenal. User education is also adding more difficult to it. So we should be aware that user can't understand your permission, and we should consider to educate him. So support libraries have several methods to help us to deal with permissions. So the first one is context compat check self permission. This method works both in activity and fragments, but it needs the context to be passed. Second thing is how to request permissions. It's similar to regular request permission request, but again, we should use helper class activity compat. If we need to check if user were asked for this permission before, we should use show request rationale method in activity compat too. That's quite simple. So if you are using support libraries, you are not depending on framework and operating system or target SDK you are using. So I've prepared a set of documents and articles that can help you to build and to implement this new permission model. They will be available when the presentation is over, and it will be located at the site. So thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes. Yes, it can be denied. So the camera flow, we should request for camera. We should prepare a surface to display image. So when your activity is paused, your camera is still can be in use. So when you deny this permission, I think when your activity will be shown again, you still have an access to it. You think no? It will crash. The flow is that you need to request permission each time you are going to use some feature. So if you are going to use camera, you should check each time when you are using it. So I think the best flow will be to use on resume method and to check before connecting to camera, do we have permission or no?
If we use for simple Google Maps, and we in Google Maps activity, and user go to the settings and turn off the permission of location.
Yes.
And we go back to the activity, and what we do?
Actually, when you return to your activity, you should check. Do you still have this permission or no?
Hi.
Hi.
1, 2. Does Android Studio have some feature to check what kind exactly of permissions should I make with this feature? List of critical permissions, yeah?
You can find this list at Developers Google. It's already listed in the documentation, but they are just regular. So if you want to use calendar permission, you can both add new events or read new events. If you are used in your manifest file read permission file, you still need to check permission for read manifest, but system will ask you to grant permission to the whole calendar group. So you will be able not just to read, but to add or edit.
So if I already have application and I change target version to 23, I should test my application and check for crashes, yeah, and
Yes.
look at where should I put this feature, yeah?
Yes, but
Okay.
it's a little bit harder. So if you are going to use your application with Target SDK 23 on pre-Android M versions, it will not be crashed. It will ask for the list of permissions at the install time. So if you are using Target SDK 22 and trying to install your application on Android Marshmallow, it will ask permission list during install. So it will not crash. But if your application is using Target SDK 23 and your application is not ready to check, to handle permission result, it will crash immediately.
Okay. If I already have Android 6 on my phone, will be available application for Target version 22 in Google Play Store?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thanks.
If you talk about Android Studio, I have tried to implement call permission. And in Android Studio, we have underline line where I want to call. And Android Studio says that you should do check here.
Yes.
Means that Android Studio warning you that you should
Yes.
do this in Android.
But it depends on version. So new versions
Yes,
1.4.
if you talk about 23.
Once again, please.
It's not a question. It's. I say question was from the guy below.
Oh.
Yeah, and he asked
Got
if
it.
Android Studio help you. Yes, it helps.
Yes, it helps, but only newer versions, starting from 1.4 and above. So previous versions, I don't know about new permissions or something else.
Okay, question about security model. When you request contact from context, yeah, you request contact.
Yes.
It open choose contact.
Yes.
And when you choose, it crashes. Why? So it depends on permission to URI. Okay, why Android not allow you to see all contacts if application has no ability to get context from URI?
Contacts is user-sensitive privacy data. So I don't like to give an access for my contacts to another applications. That's my privacy. So I can use an intent to pick a contact. So this intention is clear to me when application will ask, can it pick the contact? So that is fine. So same goes for permission. So if application wants to access my data, it should request it. If it's requesting it, I can understand if application really need this data, and I can allow or deny this permission. So once again, when I'm giving an access to contacts, I'm giving both read and write automatically. So I'm giving permission to the whole group, not just to read, not just to write. But these permissions should be listed in Android manifest.
Okay, and one more question about Map API. Okay, in Google Maps using permissions write storage and read storage to.
It doesn't necessary anymore.
Not necessary.
No. So
Okay,
when you're implementing Google Maps, you don't need to request this permission anymore.
And how to rock it with 23 and lower, 22 and lower.
Once again,
So it is need for lower or for all?
it will work with target SDK 23 and above. We don't have above for now, but
But for lower, we should use it in manifest.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Nick. I have a question. What is correct flow of dealing with new permission system in background work? For example, from services, from receivers. If, for example, my application need to do some kind of things related to contacts, to other private information in background.
Yes. To handle permission result, you should implement on permission request result. So you can't do this in just service or in broadcast receiver. So you should use activity or fragment.
It is impossible at all?
Only activity or fragment. So let's imagine next situation. You are just at the home screen on your launcher, and then you see that dialog which requesting for permission.
Yes, yes.
That's really strange.
So,
I will push deny, and that is all.
Yes. So you show us the correct flow of
Yes.
dealing it in foreground. For background, should the services just keep its work? For example, if they have no permission,
It's not a
we
good.
should not,
It's not a
write
good
such
practice. So if your application wasn't launched, and you will just show some kind of screen to user, when user not expecting this screen, it will be strange. You shouldn't
Of
do
course,
this.
of course. I understand that we don't have to. We can't show dialogues from background that user don't expect it. My question is, what is correct flow of, for example, current application? I, for example, wrote the application. Who needs this functionality?
You need to do it on the first launch. First launch, or when your user is using your application. So you should ask for this permission in your application.
Yes, but after this, user can go to settings and deny it.
Yes, he can.
So my application would be broken.
You have to deal with this, and you can send some kind of notification into notification bar that will lead user to your application UI, which describes that this permission is critical, and which explains user why does this application need it.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. Could you tell me, please, what are the best practices in notifying the user with what kind of permission do we need? So we showed previously the dialog. The user denied it, and then we should notify him that we need this permission. And what are the best practices in this case?
We don't have practices for such a cases for now, but can you imagine the situation when you need it? Your application is killed There is no part of your application in foreground. You have some part of application in background. So what kind of my sensitive data you can use? I can imagine just sensor for now. So if application is recording sensors data, so I think this will be fine to send notification to user in the notification bar. It's not will be a good thing just to request permission or show UI, some kind of UI. That's a bad practice. So you should notify user, but not to force him to enable this permission again. So it's just like a kind reminder that application needs this feature to be enabled in settings.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there. I have one interesting question about how the new permissions flow looks like from the Linux perspective, because as we know, every application is a Linux user on Android.
Yes.
And the permission granting is just the adding the user to the group.
Yes.
As for example, from the Linux side, we have to update the environment after the adding user to some group. So how the Android handles its runtime? I mean that he has to update the Linux user profile, which is the application's profile, and the runtime by adding or removing it from or into the group. How it works?
All applications in Android are placed in sandboxes. Each application really have Linux user ID and Linux
sandbox,
group ID.
It's the higher level.
Yes.
As we know, the sandbox is where the application runs in the Java perspective.
Yes.
But in the perspective of the Linux and every permission, it's a grant into the group. So how it's not in the sandbox room, let's say. So how it works in the runtime? Because I'm afraid that in this permissions flow introduces another way, non-Linux way, to grant permissions. Because we cannot add or remove the users from the Linux group without restarting his profile. So how it works runtime?
I think we should discuss it together just a little bit later.
Okay.
It's not a short question.
It's a kind of lack, because I'm afraid of that they did construct something under or upper, higher than in the Linux way, as it was before.
I understood your question, and let's really discuss it a little bit later, because I'm running out of time, and there is some people that
thanks.
Still have questions.
Hi. If we move back to foreground, for example, I have tracking service that track user location.
Yes.
Tracking in background with notification on the top bar. So user can disable tracking in settings. How we should handle it properly?
Just show him notifications that your application still need location data and.
But how we know it? So listener stop call, or how we receive empty data?
I can't answer right now regarding location permissions. So if you subscribe it to updates in Location Manager, I don't know what will happen. I don't know, will it crash or will it still be working because you subscribe.
But usually it's not much the models that we check in on resume, so it's like different handling of this type. Maybe there is some best approaches for it.
I don't know this for now.
Okay.
So you should try. You can try it yourself. But in case your application, your application will continue working, I think this will be normal behavior because you already subscribed to these events. You were granted these permissions. So
in ideal world, yes, but in Android, thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
Why we should use Android support library for working with permissions? What benefits it give to us?
Because for pre-Marshmallow, we don't have such methods in the platform, check permission and others. So support library will handle these things. So if we are running on Marshmallow, it will check permission. If we are not running
So
Marshmallow,
what will be
it will
if
not check.
So what
You can write these methods yourself. So you can write
it's
these
only
checks.
wrap it like check versions?
Yes. Mostly yes.
One line less. Okay.
So when user can deny permission in settings, do we have some kind of callback or broadcast?
No. He will just deny it and that is all. You should handle these things while you're trying to request some feature. So each time you want to read contacts or send SMS message or something else, you should check, does user have permission now, right now? So if he don't, we should handle this. If he has, we can continue. We do. I think I will try it this after this presentation. It's an interesting question, and there is only two ways.
Thanks, Roman, for covering such an acute topic, and thank you for your questions. If you have any, still you can ask them during the lunch time. So we will meet our next speaker in a couple of minutes.
Thank you.